play the games you want with the people you want anywhere you want. That's why we're investing in our next generation hardware lineup. The next generation of Xbox is coming to life, and this is just the beginning.
Is it though? Is it? The Xbox brand currently is on fire, and it's been that way for a while now. This isn't a new problem that just emerged this last week. This goes back to the Xbox One days, in which Phil Spencer even admitted that that was the console generation that they could not afford to lose, and in fact, they just got destroyed by competition. And here we are again in this next generation with the Xbox Series X/S, and things have not improved at all. See, Xbox made the investment. They wanted to build up Game Pass, so they bought a number of studios, Obsidian, In Exile, the devs behind We Happy Few, and a bunch of other smaller devs. Then they made the big one, with Activision Blizzard King spending $70 billion. That created a hole, a problem for Xbox, because Microsoft wants to see profit. They want to see the growth that was envisioned by Phil Spencer, Matt Booty, Sarah Bond, that Xbox leadership team that was promised, and it clearly has not happened. And that's why the changes that have happened this week reflect the danger that currently faces this platform, and why I very much question if Xbox will be around in the coming years. That perspective is given further weight because of the fact that Microsoft doesn't care about gaming like they once did. Their focus is on AI. So with the lack of growth, the costs that are associated with running Xbox as a platform, you can understand why Microsoft is putting pressure on this platform. And unfortunately, during the FTC trial, Microsoft said that the burden would never be passed on to consumers because of the Activision Blizzard $70 billion deal. We just know that was a total lie. And that has been confirmed this week, especially with these Game Pass changes, which reporting from Bloomberg indicates that is linked directly to that deal. So yes, Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, that was the big thing, went up 50% in price, but there was a number of other changes within this announcement that Microsoft really did not want to mention. Instead, they wanted to focus on the upgrades you're getting, your new Fortnite subscription and Ubisoft Plus Classics, all stuff that nobody was really asking for, but they described it as the feedback that they were receiving. And based on their response to the outrage right now, they're continuing that, saying price increases are never fun for anybody. We're listening to the feedback of players. Clearly they were not with this massive increase in price, but other reporting has also indicated more stuff is on the way, including the introduction of ads into premium console gaming. I get it, it's free Xbox cloud gaming, but this is a slippery slope. Horse Armor was once just Horse Armor. It turned into the microtransaction hell that exists today. There's always a starting point in ads. Yes, we've had billboard ads in games, but this just could get so much worse with its implementation into pause screens and all of that in gaming. But yeah, Microsoft has also not exactly been consistent with their messaging surrounding the Game Pass changes. They have now recently said that it's changing market conditions, aka they're trying to blame it on the tariffs, inflation, and all of that. That's their new little slogan of saying, oh, this is why we had to go $10 up. Nobody's believing it, and they right now are trying to figure out how to message to the community gamers, but right now I think everybody is of the assessment that they cannot be trusted. Xbox, Microsoft, nobody's believing what they're trying to sell. And right now there has been mass cancellations of Game Pass, many moving away from Xbox as a platform, and the desperation is on Xbox, the console front page. As you can see, this individual says, I like how after canceling my Game Pass Ultimate, my home screen gets littered with ads asking me to come back. No thanks. And look, the rumors, the leaks, and everything surrounding Xbox this last week and really the last year, it's just been constant negativity. There's no positivity with any of this stuff. Like, we're having reports from the Xbox One days emerging now saying that Microsoft Xbox was trying to make their own Uncharted for Xbox, but it got canceled. Like I said, there's nothing good coming from this platform right now. There's also the fact that, yeah, Xbox quietly nuked the Game Pass Call of Duty discount. Xbox responded to this. They responded to it, confirming it, and also adding, it's not just Call of Duty, it's all of their games. This is not specific to any one game and reflects all games and DLC purchases. Instead of a discount on the purchases, Ultimate and Premium subscribers will earn 10% and 5% respectively in points when purchasing select games and add-ons from the Game Pass library. And as Kotaku says here, in effect, players can still get the 10% savings on COD points and Black Cell bundles, but it will only be available for subsequent purchases after they've accrued enough rewards to redeem a $5 Xbox gift card. Essentially, they've introduced something, a far worse system. Instead of getting the direct savings immediately there, you have to have enough points that then you can buy their made-up currency. And this is the greed. This is the greed that we're seeing from this company. The desperation reeks right now. And there's also, like I said, many territories that have had these Game Pass Ultimate changes. They're upset because it's not like for us, it's just 50%. In places like Brazil, it's actually going up by about 100%. In many other countries, it's the similar thing because regional pricing is not the same. And this is what I mean. This is why when you have like xCloud being introduced with ads, it's like that's the thing you give to the poor people. But then the premium experience, if you want the best of the best, you're going to be paying $30 right now. In a couple of years, it may be $40 to $50 for the best of the best. And it's like you get to put up with the pain of advertisements being played. I think right now they're saying it may be like an hour, so you have to watch a 15-second or so. But like I said, this is where it always starts. There's a starting point, and then things always get far worse. We've seen that especially with all of the subscription services, not just Xbox Game Pass. But Bloomberg really did confirm a lot of the stuff that we thought, the suspicions that we had, and it is, again, that the Activision Blizzard merger truly tanked this company and has really put the pressure on them to deliver. And while the focus has been on the Call of Duty numbers, the fact that, yeah, they lost $300 million in sales last year, and that's why there has been such chaos behind the scenes over there at Xbox and also Microsoft. This was the most compelling part. It was really notable, was the fact that Bloomberg notes Microsoft Chief Financial Officer Amy Hood has asked Xbox to find other ways to increase profit, according to the current and former employees, which is why we're seeing all these layoffs, all of these cancellations, and also the burden being passed on to consumers now with these massive increases coming to Game Pass. And this reporting isn't actually anything new. This is something that was reported back in July. Xbox reportedly given utterly unrealistic financial target that could continue to hurt the division. I think this rumor, this leak, has turned out to be true based on what we're seeing now. And look, Xbox has outlined their future. They've talked about their hardware. This is something that they announced back in June. There was actually even then rumors like, is Xbox even going to do a next generation console? Are they going to go full third party? But no, they announced Xbox and AMD advancing the next generation of gaming together. Sarah Bond, in that video I showed at the beginning, she also said Xbox unveiled that it has entered into a strategic multi-year partnership with AMD to co-engineer silicon across a portfolio of devices, including future first-party consoles and cloud. So for many, this was the confirmation that Xbox is doubling down on consoles, at least for the next generation. So indeed, up to this point in time, we've had rumors, we've had leaks surrounding Xbox's plans about their new hardware for the next generation, including some which said that full next-gen consoles are supposedly targeting 2027, right around the same time frame that PlayStation's also planning their PS6 and their other hardware as well. But there was also the fact that we had other reporting indicating this is not going to be a traditional new console cycle. Xbox is trying new things, and they kind of have to. And it was the fact that even in that AMD announcement, Sarah Bond almost basically admitted that Microsoft might have confirmed Xbox Steam Store rumor with AMD announcement. And yes, seemingly these new consoles will have the Steam Store maybe attached in the Epic Game Store. It is a competitive advantage, but it just comes back to the fact of what's the point of owning an Xbox console and even this next generation when you can just get a PC and you still have access to all of that. And Xbox doesn't really have an answer to that. If anything, they just point to, well, as long as you're part of Game Pass, that means we're winning. And that kind of just shows you how times have changed. This company has realized that consoles, that no longer is their future, and they lost years ago to PlayStation in this regard. So this brings us to this rumor. This is what everybody has been talking about, and this is a report coming from NeoGAF from an insider called Sneakers SO. He has been said to be reliable, and we'll talk a little bit more about his authenticity and some of his past leaks in a second, but this is what he specifically said. Xbox's new hardware is up in the air and may not happen despite their announcements. More retail stores will pull Xbox from sale, and Microsoft is becoming 100% a third-party publisher. So this is what he specifically said. There's been many people editorializing like the Xbox is dead completely, hardware's gone. But that's not exactly what he said. So first he says, without going into too much detail, not long after the last round of layoffs, next one should be coming in Q1 of 2026, by the way. The layoffs are only going to continue, unfortunately, and it's going to be just as massive as the last one, which was thousands lost, thousands of developers gone, and there was mass cancellations alongside that. I assume that we could be seeing that again. Now, some rumblings out of Xbox are starting to come out that were a little hard to believe. The ramifications of the Call of Duty Game Pass gambit not working out were just starting to get properly measured, and I fully believe that Xbox, Microsoft leadership regret putting that or making it that Call of Duty is a Game Pass subscription. It is part of that day one ultimate tier. I genuinely think that they are very much missing out on those sales, and they're hitting themselves over the head that they attached that. And even then, when they announced it, they were a little hesitant. They're like, yeah, we're thinking about it. We're not entirely sure. And now I think if they could go back, they probably would have never done it. Now, he continues saying about the Call of Duty gambit not paying off. The thing that really struck out to me was that suddenly really concrete plans for actual Microsoft Xbox hardware went from being definitive to up in the air, which was really startling given that this thing was meant to be out relatively soon. And this isn't like the first time that we've seen this. A lot of people don't understand that this summer, the ROG Ally X, the handheld device, that wasn't the initial plan. People forget this, but yeah, the Xbox handheld device, they were making their own, and it was essentially canceled. This is reporting that came from The Verge, citing insiders. So this isn't like the first time this generation that we've seen Xbox abandon plans. Even their own mid-gen refresh, we have not seen that. And we even saw Phil Spencer kind of mocking the idea of the PlayStation 5 Pro. But ultimately, I think this just really reflects on the questions that surround, does Xbox want to invest in hardware in the future? And it seems like there is a massive debate going on behind the scenes, and I would not be surprised that soon we hear an announcement that they're either scaling back plans or things are just completely done, and they are embracing third party. But it is worth mentioning that he continues saying it was one of those situations where, despite folks being told, hey, we want to pull the trigger on this in 2026, the steps you would need to take in the lead up to delivering a new console gen weren't being met. A lot of things that were sure things started getting pushed. The Costco retailer pulling Xbox, and apparently they are one of the many that we'll learn about soon, told me all I needed to know. And if you don't know what they're referencing, it's specifically the fact that Costco confirmed that it's removed Xbox consoles, calling it a business decision. This is reporting coming from Destin Legary, who said he talked to Costco about Xbox stock. I was told that they will no longer be carrying Xbox consoles. We don't have any plans going forward to carry an Xbox console, saying it was a business decision. Costco, though, isn't getting out of the console business, as they confirm they still have some great deals on Switch and PlayStation, and online there has been some videos and some screenshots of them really trying to get rid of the remaining stock that they have of the Xbox Series S and X's. It's down to a couple $100, so looks like they are done. And I think people need to understand, Xbox One days were bad, but I don't think people really understand how bad it has gotten this generation. New PS5 versus Xbox sales estimates are probably worse than you'd expect. This is from September of 2024, and just this picture right here shows it from the Wall Street Journal. PlayStation 5, 62 million at the time, to Xbox Series X's 28, and then you see the diagram, the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, and it's a lot closer. That divide has only gotten bigger and bigger. And just to get a little bit more specific about that graph, as it's noted here in the Forbes article, it means that Xbox at the time in September of 2024 was at 45.8% of the sales of the PS5 this generation. In comparison, though, that is a worse ratio than that generation was, last generation of Xbox One PS4, where Xbox had 49% of the sales of the PS4, going in the wrong direction fast. And then even just this last year, PS5 sales are outpacing PS4 in the US. Xbox Series X and S lags well behind the Xbox One. And this is recently. This is from March of 2025. According to the most recent data from Circana, after each platform's first 52 months in the market, PS5 unit sales exceed PS4's sales pace by 7%, while Xbox Series X and S combined now trails Xbox One by 19%. And you have to believe, with all the money that's been invested, Xbox Microsoft leadership have to be kind of horrified by these numbers. And also, that probably explains a lot of the decision making, such as this ad campaign, why they've pushed it so hard, because they realize consoles That's just not something they're going to make up in the future, no matter what they do. But again, getting back to the Sneakers SO leak, what he said here on the NeoGAF forums, he continued saying, to sum it up, in the future of Xbox is software publishing, which is what Microsoft is known for. They're not really known for being all about hardware. With a significantly honed-in focus on profitable IPs, which we've seen, Call of Duty, World of Warcraft, Minecraft, Candy Crush, Forza, cloud gaming being the home of the Xbox platform, which they've continued to push, and now they're starting to monetize heavily, transitioning Game Pass into basically becoming the point of entry subscription for xCloud Access, which we've seen, which will continue to drive its price tag higher, by the way. I fully believe that. They aren't done there just yet either, and releasing their software on any device that has a marketplace and users willing to buy their titles. Maybe some OEM thing will take up the Xbox name, like we've kind of seen with the ROG Ally X and handheld space, maybe on a bigger scale, maybe. But given that it's clearly a collapse in favorable mindshare and faith in said brand, I'm not even sure a third-party OEM is going to want to have an Xbox console by the time Microsoft is done with their reorienting of the division. So like I said, a lot of questions about this, but I think my big takeaway here is not having competition to Sony in the future. That is kind of horrifying. Competition is good for this industry. Anytime, any place, it really is. You need to have competitors, and when you have almost like a monopoly in terms of the console space that Sony could be enjoying in the future, it makes me nervous about that. And that's what I mean. Like some of the headlines that we've seen, PS6 may go uncontested as rumors of next-gen Xbox cancellation spiral. There's some definitely concerning ways that this could get a lot worse just for gamers overall. And I do get it. Some people will make the argument that Xbox is hardly a competitor anymore, but just the fact that they exist, it does matter. Authenticity of this leak right here has been questioned. Sneakers SO does have a track record. In December of 2023, when many insiders were pushing back on the notion that Xbox was going to go multi-platform with their games, he was one of the first individuals to say that no, they were going full force with everything. And this is what he said in December 2023. All of them. I know of several high-profile Bethesda titles whose port work started up a few months ago. And he continued just saying that everything Xbox has been doing, it's going to be coming to PlayStation and other platforms. And it's not like it's just leaks like this. He's been backed by other insiders. Jason Schreier himself on the Reset Era gaming forums in July of 2025 with one of his scoops backed him up pretty much the same thing, saying I could corroborate Sneaker SO's comments about ZeniMax games. That was when some of the cancellations were going on. We even had this video just the other day when Tom Warren of The Verge, he's one of the biggest leakers, insiders of Xbox, he was asked about this very question about Sneaker SO's comment about hardware. And seemingly it started off with these individuals, I think this is the Xbox Era podcast, kind of like, it's not real, right? And Tom Warren here kind of was like, well, I can vouch that he is a real insider. So this is what he specifically had to say.
All of the pearl clutching at this price raise for the third place competitor whose hardware is dying and in a death spiral.
Well, haven't you heard the latest rumor?
What's the
Fresh
latest
off the press?
What's the latest rumor?
There might not be a next Xbox, apparently, despite what they've said.
And what's that source, Nick?
Do you really want to know?
Is it the source that always pops up on a specific forum whenever negative Xbox news hits?
Yes, it is.
Oh.
I mean,
it is that same source.
If you were Microsoft, though, and this is the thing.
Put on your feet.
Yeah, and for what it's worth, bottom right-hand corner is specifically Tom Warren here. And this is where he finally gives his own thoughts, saying that this is indeed a legit leaker who knows a lot about what's going on internally at Microsoft.
Yes, it is. It is that thing you put on your feet.
A significant other thing that you put on your feet.
I will say he knows a lot of what goes on internally. So I don't think he's a bad source.
Sorry, you think what?
Not a
I
bad
think he knows
source.
a lot of what.
He's a
goes
developer,
on.
isn't he? Isn't he a developer?
I don't know exactly who he is, but
I thought he...
Yeah, so nobody entirely knows who this individual. He has some sort of connection. Some people believe that it's some sort of high up leadership insight that he somehow has. Nobody knows, but he's been accurate about a lot of stuff in the past, and he's not the only one who is singing this tune and these concerns about Xbox hardware moving forward. Several insiders claim next-gen Xbox console is up in the air. And over on Install Base, reputable leaker Matt simply said, without going into specifics, this is not nonsense. In other individuals have also said as much. But specifically, he also said this. He gave an analogy saying, there's a quote from the first Avengers movie I really like, and this is his comment about the situation surrounding Xbox. Until such time as the world ends, we will act as though it intends to spin on. And as this user summarizes, it suggests that Microsoft is basically keeping the ship running until the day they'll have to say it's over. All of that extremely concerning about the future ahead. And that's why when people say, like, well, they just announced this a couple months ago. They also announced that Hi-Fi Rush was successful, and then a couple months later they shut the studio down. They do this constantly. They announce one thing, even their whole multi-platform approach. They said, we're not doing that with any of these games. A couple months later, that tune changed. And look, Xbox leadership, Phil Spencer and company, maybe they have this in their minds that it's not going to go this way. Well, Microsoft has the ultimate say, and I would not be surprised to find out that a lot of the things that have been happening with Xbox, they've been overruled by their corporate overlords. Now, furthermore with this, we've seen some other supposed insiders saying that, yeah, hardware production has ceased, yes, but there's been no indication of that. We've had other insiders, such as Jez Corden of Windows Central, saying that there are presently no plans to cancel any planned Xbox hardware. The plans outlined by Sarabon and AMD multi-year partnership for first-party hardware, there's still the plans as of right now, but the fact that rumors are so plausible showcases a real issue with faith in Xbox. I would agree with that. But then people did hit back against Jez Corden because in the past he did call out Sneaker SO for some of his reporting. Specifically, it was this comment right here, the fact that one thing that he was exactly right about the time. Jez, a couple of days later after that, in the past specifically called him out saying, no, Xbox isn't porting its console exclusives to PlayStation, it's just hard hopium from fanboys, and that did not age well because Sneaker was exactly right on that subject. But like I said, things are not going good right now. There's all kinds of rumors and leaks spiraling. One of the big ones is the fact of this new decision or new change internally at Microsoft was the fact that their sales chief, Judson Althoff, who got a new role as CEO of the company's commercial business. Some people associated with that, with him now having authority over Xbox, and he was going to pull the plug on a bunch of things. But Tom Warren again hit back on this. He specifically responded to somebody that brought up this recent rumor, as well as the Althoff thing. He said, Judson is the CEO of commercial. That's nothing to do with Xbox, although he neglected to talk about this. Interesting. But he also followed it up with another tweet saying, Judson Althoff is the CEO of commercial at Microsoft, which has nothing to do with the Xbox division led by Microsoft Gaming CEO Phil Spencer. If you're going to make shit up, at least make it believable. So like I said, there's all kinds of things, all kinds of people saying Xbox is completely dead. It's quite clear that it's not that yet, but it very much is going in the wrong direction fast. And this is a company that is desperate, and it reeks badly. One does have to wonder where the hope is. Maybe Xbox is looking at a game like Grand Theft Auto 6, which is going to be a console exclusive. Maybe that could be a big driver for them. It's going to be a juggernaut release, the most highly anticipated game of all time, and there is some notable experiences on the way from their first party, such as The Elder Scrolls 6, which will in fact be a big deal. But again, multi-platform. So I look at the current state of Xbox, and it's just so many questions. And right now, Microsoft, they've been putting out statements, and they continue to say that they are focused with their AMD partnership. They're committed to all of that. I just don't think it means much, especially because you cannot trust their word. So as they say, where there is smoke, there is fire. Anyway though, moving forward, one thing is certain, and it is that Xbox's future is in doubt. There are so many questions and very little clarity coming from Xbox leadership. But what do you make of all this? Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. Thank you for watching. Make sure to leave a like if you did enjoy this video, or if you found any informative value. Consider subscribing for more videos like this, and I'll see you later.